Welcome back to another episode of ROC Boys Football. Today we are looking at our offensive tackle rankings for the 2022 NFL Draft. Dill, you're the key evaluator for the offensive linemen, so we're going to start with you. Charles Cross, both of our offensive tackle number ones. Tell me what you like in his game. We've talked about him a lot on the show, but what makes him solidified as that number one tackle for you?
At the end of the day, he is the best pass protector in my mind, just in not even just like performance on the field, but he has the athleticism, the smoothness, uses arms really well to keep guys away from him. He does basically the pass block game so well.
Yeah.
And that's obviously what you're paying left tackles for now. I think he has to be number one for me. But I will say Ikem Ekwonu's close because Ikem Ekwonu brings a lot more edge and nasty and can move guys around at a much higher level. And Ikem Ekwonu really didn't. I think he got way better in the past this year. So he made a massive jump and looked really good. So I honestly, the more I watch, the more I think you could take either of them at two. And frankly, you could take Neal. You could take all three of these guys, and I would never bat an eye. The only thing with Neal is a little slower. He's got the size to dominate, but you still need to be able to move it, and he just doesn't move like the other two.
What I see in Ikem Ekwonu's game that is echoing what you talked about is just the ceiling that he has. He's a guy that moved to full-time tackle, I believe, in the COVID year. So he's playing guard as a freshman, and then this is only his second year playing tackle. And it's what you said. He's getting better and better. And that raw power that he has, that he can displays in the run game specifically, is it's special. It's game changing special versus Charles Cross, who he's the more proven pass protector. They do it a lot at Mississippi State, but you have some serious questions about how well can you move some bodies and get a run game going. And so I think they're kind of scheme specific guys. When we talk about Charles Cross to the Baltimore Ravens at 14, that doesn't make a ton of sense to me because you want to get downhill with your running game. And I don't think Charles Cross, you just didn't see it on the film because Mississippi State doesn't run the football at all. So, yes, Charles Cross is the best pass protector, but I think Ikem Ekwonu can get there. He didn't necessarily show it on the film, but he certainly can get there. And then Evan Neal's also a super solid tackle. You mentioned that maybe the mobility is not quite there just because he's just so big. He did look really good at the pro day. He's lost.
Don't care.
But I'm saying he lost some weight. He lost 20 pounds. So you see him
maybe he did that.
Move a little bit more effectively. Let's get to your fifth guy. I mean, the end of the story here is these top three guys are all special. I think we all have potential Pro Bowl players.
I think they're all top five players. So that's what I think.
And then you get into Bernhard Raimann, number 5. There's definitely a drop off between the top three guys. And then in terms of pro readiness, their potential, I think Bernhard Raimann can be a great tackle in the NFL as well. But in terms of pro ready tackles, it's those three. And then you start having some question marks. Still, Bernhard Raimann over Trevor Penning, significantly over Trevor Penning. Talk about both of them real quick, Bernhard Raimann, Trevor Penning.
I'm going to be very frank. I think Trevor Penning's going to end up playing guard in the league. And I don't know how people are overlooking what happened against Iowa State. And honestly, a little bit what happened in the Senior Bowl too, where he doesn't mirror guys particularly well because he doesn't have great movement going backwards. So it doesn't matter. Yeah, he ran a good 40, whatever, but functionally in terms of how he mirrors guys, he really struggles. He doesn't react well to their counter moves. And I just see him as a better fit at guard in the NFL. I didn't think you saw what you saw with most of these higher level tackles in terms of athleticism. And Bernhard Raimann obviously is the opposite. Yeah, he's not maybe physically there, maybe have the experience yet. But athletically, he's as good as anyone in this class. And you did see him put up a lot of weight on the bench, which the play strength wasn't dominant.
It's just the frame is smaller, the lower half in the frame, because he is only 300 pounds, and I think he's 6'5".
He's 6'7"-ish.
Yeah, okay, so he's even taller than that. So he's a big guy that just hasn't quite filled out his frame, and that could very potential. It is the reason why he was playing tight end 3 years ago. He's 240-pound tight end. So he's still. I mean, you see those movement skills, the ability to move and mirror guys is there. It's just physically a little bit underdeveloped. And that's why I say I think he can be a special talent at tackle, kind of like Elaine Johnson was coming out of Oklahoma. He just needs to get that frame going a little bit. And I think he's got all the tools to make it happen. Trevor Penning, I kind of agree. I'm a little higher on you than you with Trevor Penning because I think it's also there. I think it's more, and I don't know a ton about the technique of an offensive tackle, but like you just see a lot of slop. He gets away with it at the FCS level because he's just so much physically more dominant. But as you said, when you get to the Iowa State film, working against really good edge guys like a Will McDonald, he's not fitting guys up as well. And then in the Senior Bowl, like the viral clip of him hip tossing a guy to the ground, like that's not necessarily good. Like if you watch the whole clip, he hip tosses the guy into Desmond Ritter's knees. Like that'd be a sack.
And it's a hold. So what's the point?
It seems like you get these viral videos, and he's also just seems like a little bit of a loose cannon. Like I get having the nasty grit, but he toes the line pretty significantly, and he's like he seems like
that almost like people. that's guard mentality. That's like you want that in the insides where people can't see what you're doing, and you just throw haymakers.
Well, it's like after plays. It's after plays. He's just kind of a bush league guy. I don't particularly like him. I feel like I think the interviews are kind of corny. I listen to like it's just not my thing. It's not my thing.
Despise,
and I wouldn't knock him down because of that, because I just don't like the guy. I don't even know him. I don't
know if you watch him get 3 holds against Iowa State, it's a problem. It just is.
Yeah.
Because it's the only real game they played. He was pretty bad. So
talk a little Sean Ryan, who was I thought did very well against Kayvon Thibodeau in his matchups against Oregon. What do you see in his game
I don't get the people who are always hating on Sean Ryan, and I will agree he looks maybe a little not tacklish, like in a similar way Ikem Ekwonu maybe doesn't, with the huge lower half. Physically he looks like a guard, but I think he has tackle athleticism. He's got the size and the length, I think. And if you watch his games, he's the guy, again, you're projecting. I don't think he totally put it together in college in a very similar manner to the next guy, Petit-Frere. But you see the tools athletically to do what he needs to do. And I think he'll be a very good run blocker because that's what you really saw, is power. So I think he has the athletic tools to become a tackle. And at the worst, you're getting a very solid run blocker.
I feel very similar about Sean Ryan and Trevor Penning also. Like, I think he'll be a good guard if he wants to play guard. I think you're a little lower on him in terms of the guard rank as well. But also Darian Canard, where you can give these guys a shot. I think Darian Canard is definitely a right tackle. But you can give these guys a shot on the tackles at the tackle spot. And then if it doesn't work, like they'll be able to play guard at high level. Similar to like Alex Leatherwood. I think he obviously was kind of a bust at tackle, but he'll be a solid guard, I think, even though he just looked horrible everywhere he was with the Raiders this year. But Nicholas Petit-Frere, I'll talk about him a little bit because I've seen a decent amount of film, more because I'm watching a lot of Michigan film and Aiden Hutchinson. I've watched the Penn State film. He just doesn't play very strong. People go right through him a lot. Hutchinson did that. Arnold Abedike did that a little bit. And like the biggest concerning thing is, when he played NFL talent, like those two guys, Hutch, Arnold Abedike, he didn't look good. And that's the biggest concern. And one other thing is he's a guy that you also has a ton of tools. If you look at him, he's going to be a very good tackle. And he looks good against maybe some lesser competition, but the play strength, when he's going up against a Hutch, when he's going up against an Arnold Abedike, I say his name wrong. Abedike. Just keep correcting me. I'll get it. He doesn't look. He doesn't look as good, and that's like the biggest flaw I thought in his game.
The thing I'll leave with him though is when he's at his best, he's very good in my mind. And I think if he played consistently at a top level, like the top 3 guys were basically always great. If Frere plays at his best game, he's right up there in the first round, probably like the back half, but he's a first round tackle.
Former top 10 overall recruit. Like he's
a guy who, if he puts it together, he's really good. So that's why I have him a little higher, I think.
Yeah, I can get behind that. We talked Trevor Penning, Darian Canard. I've watched a lot of Darian Canard because I'm a Kentucky fan. He's here. Talk about nasty. Talk about a guy you want to bring to a bar fight. It's Darian Canard. The crazy hair, the huge beard, the big chain. Like, he's a bad dude. He plays nasty. He lost weight, which is telling me he's going to try giving tackle a shot, which why would you not if you're an offensive lineman? Like, you make a lot more money as a tackle. But the movement skills are just not there. The balance isn't there. He's a lunger. He's on the ground a lot, kind of like Trey Smith last year. It's like he's a powerful dude, but he's got to like be able to rein that in to the point where he's not just like lunging and missing at guys, because you saw a little bit of that on his film. Again, he's a guy that you give him a shot at right tackle. I think he can be decent.
Yeah, that's kind of my opinion. Like, you knock down, if you knock the weight down and he kind of can be more steady and play more athletically, like, yeah, because in the run game, he's up there with anyone in this class. He was really good.
And Rasheed Walker, I think, is a very similar guy. I think he's a right tackle. You give him a shot there, but I think he's also a candidate to be a guard.
I actually think he's shown more tackle ability maybe than Canard. I think you don't see the level he wasn't as a high level power guy and blocker, which is the reason I have Canard higher, along with Canard actually looking physically good in the Senior Bowl and looked athletic, frankly, for the parts I saw. He's
losing weight, which is good, like that, because it's just hard to have the movement skills you need to be a successful tackle in the NFL when you're 350 pounds. Yeah,
and this one's a tough one. Like, I think you could easily have Rasheed Walker over Canard just because I think the film was better overall. I'm not sure the ceiling's as high because when you watch Canard playing at a high level and run blocking well, he's a force.
Yeah.
But Rasheed Walker, again, I think he's going to be a very solid right tackle for, like, maybe not an all-pro or anything crazy, but, like, a guy you can depend on to start for many. That's kind of where I see him. So I'm high on Rasheed Walker. I think people are too disrespectful of him.
Braxton Jones, I'm going to let you talk about him because I haven't seen much film on him outside of the Senior Bowl. What do you see in Braxton Jones' game? Because you have him above some tackles that are good prospects.
If you go in and watch the San Jose State game, they play a little bit of weird offense. You don't get to see the power, and I'm not 100% sure it's there right now. He does look a little on the leaner side, and he wasn't exactly bulldozing people, but you see the feet and the athletic ability, I think, to play a high level, not a high, but like an NFL level tackle. And I think when you're getting down to this range, like, I don't see that in Abraham Lucas. I didn't see that in Fellaille or Rosenthal. Chris Paul has a lot of, like, work to his game too, so he maybe is more in the Braxton Jones camp. But Braxton Jones had a clean footwork and the ability to play tackle in the NFL, because especially if he can kind of bulk himself up physically.
Yeah, and then another guy that you need to bulk up physically a little bit is Max Mitchell. He looks like he's a little bit underdeveloped. Graded out as the best tackle in the country, a guy that just didn't play the strength of competition that you'd like, and that showed in the Senior Bowl. Again, Senior Bowl is very important for a guy like Max Mitchell. He just didn't look that good. He looked physically a little underdeveloped and just outmatched. And then that kind of got confirmed at the combine. Like, he did not test well. And again, when you're from the smaller school, especially like the lower conferences, like Louisiana Lafayette plays, like it's important, and he didn't really check the boxes there.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with me, I did think the film was really solid.
Yeah, I remember.
He just looks athletic. He looks, even for a slighter frame, he looked fairly powerful in their games. Of course, it was like, you got to grade him where he was playing, which was UL Lafayette, not with the big dogs per se. But I think this is a guy who has now I think you're taking tools, and I think he's got the tools. I think he put it together on the film consistently enough to make me think he'll have a chance to do it. So that's where I see Max Mitchell.
Abe Lucas, guy from Washington State. Sorry, I had myself muted because I'm getting a call right now. Abe Lucas, Washington State. You're not as high on him. I think a lot of people are a little bit higher on Abe Lucas than you are. What did you see in his game and kind of why he's fallen a little bit?
I mean, this seems like maybe people are seeing like a 6'7", 325, I think is like roughly what his measurables will shake out.
Got a good frame, yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you can't move your feet, the whole thing's pointless. Like, there's no NFL tackles who like shuffle the way he shuffles and have heavy feet that he doesn't kick back. Like, I mean, what you see from a Braxton Jones or a Max Mitchell, why they're higher, is you at least see the bones of what you need, although they don't have the same like mass as an Abe Lucas.
Abe Lucas, big dude.
I don't think you can fix the feet, and he's not like Darian Canard. Like, oh well, what if you did take 30 pounds off the frame? He's still huge. And then maybe you see some athleticism with the power. I mean, Abraham Lucas, like, you lose much more weight, he's going to be on the thin side. So,
yeah,
where are you going to go when you can't? In my opinion, I just didn't see the tools to play tackle with the footwork. So, I mean, he's got the other physical attributes, but I just think those don't matter as much as are you a fairly good athlete at that size? I just don't think he is.
Chris Ball, Tulsa. Kind of rounding out. These are guys who will be day 3 picks. Hopefully get drafted. Yeah. Chris Paul.
He is a guy who, I mean, his arms look very long. He looks like he's got a frame that's just like, ooh, that looks like kind of a pro tackle for sure. I don't know what Tulsa was teaching exactly.
Tyler Smith did the same thing.
Him and Tyler Smith have like a very odd style to them. Like, they both play super high. Like, they're almost standing straight up and down.
Like, they don't get their hands on people. They just super wide. They let people get into them. And Tyler Smith's a guy that I want to get his hands on people because he's got some dummy power in him.
Yeah.
You're just letting people get you first when you have the frame to get on them first. And it's just, again, I don't know a ton about the offensive line technique, but it just seems like they play super wide, let people get right up into their chest. And it's just, there's a lot of work there. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. Both the guys.
That's the thing. It's like the technique was not great, but I'm also not totally convinced like that wasn't a little Tulsa, because I think he played the same way Tyler Smith played. They both had a very similar style. But I think, again, another guy, I think you at least see the tools. The problem is you're making a big projection because the college tape probably wasn't there. But again, he does have the athleticism to do it. And Darian Rosenthal, I kind of included him because he's like a sort of a big name. He's a big transfer into Kentucky from LSU. There's like a weirdness to his game too, like almost like he's getting off the line a second later than everyone else. And at the size he is, which is like rail thin for a tackle,
he looks like a tackle.
I mean, you need to have superior athleticism, and he almost looks like not quite there. Like, it's behind like maybe a Darren Canard, which is kind of the problem where when if
you're gonna look like that with like the frame here, I think he's like 295 pounds. Like, I don't even know if he's 300. He is like super.
And he's
super
tall,
thin.
so
and he I feel like he's a good athlete, but it wasn't great. I kind of agree. And then Daniel Fellaille is the most intriguing prospect there is at the just because he's a mountain. Like, we haven't seen a prospect with that size. But I'm probably a little higher on him than you because I think it's just he might be worth a flyer with the size that he has. Because at the end of the day, when you're trying to rush the passer, like, you have to go around him because he's really hard to go through. He kind of just engulfs you with his mass.
But a flyer where?
Yeah, that's true. You can take a flyer in the
pre-day 3?
I don't think
so. You can get good players pre-day 3.
You have so many question marks in his game. One is just, are you going to be able to stay healthy? Like, your bodies aren't supposed to bear that much weight. And you see it with the Mekhi Becton. He's already dealing with some injuries. Daniel Fellaille has a lot of question marks. I don't think he had any injury problems at Minnesota, but like, that's a lot of weight for a dude to carry.
Can you get out of your stance and fire into people?
That's the biggest problem. It's like,
he's so big. It's almost like just everything's done too slow. It takes him too long to get going.
Yeah, so he's hard to move. Like, he's hard to go through for sure. But like, in terms of like, he's like a road grader, he's not, because he just doesn't get out of his stance. He doesn't generate any force because he just doesn't get moving that fast.
The only like true giant in the sense that he is that's really played well at a high level is probably Trent Brown with New England.
And Daniel Fellaille is like quite big with him, right? Like 20 pounds.
Like 20, 30 pounds.
Yeah, so and Trent Brown's like,
he's a unique cat because there's no one else who's doing it the way he's doing it at that. And he's great. I love his game, but I think when you're playing the odds, it's like I go back to whatever I heard something from Todd McShay. Like, yes, it's not all about the 40, but you don't see guys run slower than a 5.4 or something, like some stat. You just haven't seen anyone succeed at that.
Did he run a 40?
Athleticism? I don't even know. It did, but I just
I'd be surprised if he
I'm
did.
thinking just the way, like, you don't see people that size and that athletically challenged maybe pan out in the
Succeed.
NFL. So that's what it like.
That's what it comes
Just
down
I
to.
don't see it, but like people have him as a first rounder, so like he is.
That's
like
ridiculous. I mean,
weird.
no way you use a first round pick on a guy with that many question marks. So that's what I think it comes down to. The film wasn't like atrocious or anything, but there's so.
But
many,
it also wasn't good.
It wasn't good.
He wasn't getting beat, but he
down.
wasn't like doing. He wasn't dominating.
But it's like you take a flyer on a first round pick. There's got to be some boxes that are checked and like some questions that are answered. Like there's Daniel Fellaille. Just there's too many question marks for you to even think about taking him in the first round. Quite frankly,
I don't see how you can take him in the first 2 days.
And then you want to take a flyer on him and see what you can get out of him. Sure, but it can't be with that high priority draft capital because it's too much. There's too many question marks.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel.
So that's your offensive tackle ranks. I'm interested because that you change your tune a little bit with the Ikem and Charles Cross. Charles Cross was like kind of clear OT1, and I don't even hate it. Like when I see Ikem Ekwonu as the first tackle off the board, like
you could convince me all three of them any different day. It's so hard.
And then
they all are so good.
Then it starts to get a little weaker in that class. Those are our top 15 offensive tackles that we had. Dill, thanks for putting all the work in, grinding the film on these offensive tackles. We'll be back. We'll be doing the interior offensive line next. We're still building out the list a little bit more, kind of brushing up on some film with these guys. Once again, we appreciate all the support you guys have shown to the show. Rocking with the ROC Boys. If you guys like the content, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments in the comment section, and we will talk to y'all later. Peace.